YouTube, what is good? It is your boy STMXVII back at you again today with another Apex Legends video. And guys, Season 18 is here, and that means the meta has changed, both in Legends and weapons. Today, we're going to be focusing on the weapons. And honestly, the weapon meta hasn't changed too much, but there is some new weapons that have entered the meta, and we do need to discuss those. So I would really love to hear from you guys in the comments if you do agree with me or not. And again, I'm not here to offend anybody, so do not get mad at me if I do not place your favorite weapon in the right spot. This is my opinion at the end of the day. I'm just trying to bring y'all the best content and be entertaining for y'all. If you guys do enjoy the video, I'd really appreciate if you left a like and possibly a subscribe, as we are on the road to 700 subs. We just hit 600 subs, and I really appreciate y'all. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Alright, y'all. Let's get straight into this tier list. So, we're just going to kind of go down the line here. So, first up, we're going to start off with the 30-30. And I think I'm going to put the 30-30 in A tier. A lot of people don't know this, but the 30-30 is very, very, very strong. And you can do a lot of damage very quickly, especially if you're hitting your shots consistently. So I would honestly really be on the lookout for this season, and maybe use it more if you haven't at all, or if you've been sleeping on it. So yeah, I think the 30-30 in A tier kind of makes sense. Next, we have the alternator. Now, I believe the alternator is easily an A tier weapon, especially with the new disruptor rounds. So if you can find that and the alternator together, it's going to be a pretty insane combo, and I think you'll really enjoy it. And the alternator off rip as well is really, really good, and it does a lot of damage with its mag. So if you do find an alternator off rip, I would definitely pick that up, and I think A tier is going to be a great spot for it. Next, we have the Bocek, and I'm going to put the Bocek in A tier because it's able to do a lot of damage very quickly, and it's very annoying too. I don't know if you've ever been shot at by a Bocek, but it's super, super annoying because they can just keep hitting you with shots very consistently, especially if they're accurate, and I just believe it belongs in A tier. Next, we have the Car SMG. And I think the car this season kind of took a back seat, but I think it still remains in A tier just due to its overall like weapon mag size compared to the R99, which actually just caught a nerf. So it's still staying with its same amount of bullets in the clip, and it does very nice damage. And obviously being able to use heavy and light ammo at the same time is really, really nice. So be on the lookout for the car this season, and make sure you use it more because it will benefit you greatly. Next is going to be the reworked charge rifle, and I think I'm going to slap this in B tier. Reason being is this gun now, after its rework, is more of a sit back and poke type of weapon, and me personally, that's not really my play style, but it does do a lot of damage, and I think it's going to be a lot more popular in ranked than anything, but it's still very nice, does a lot of damage, especially at range. So if you haven't tried it yet, at least pick it up, give it a go, see what you think. Next, we have the Devotion, and I think I'm going to put the Devotion probably in C tier, because the problem with the Devotion is you need a lot of attachments to make this thing work, and sometimes it's hard to find that many attachments. So as it stands on its own, it's kind of just you know what I'm saying? So I think C tier is a good spot for it. Next up, we have the EVA 8, and I think I'm gonna put the EVA in C tier as well. Especially being that the Mastiff and PK are as good as they are right now. I just don't think the EVA is anywhere close to the same level. But if you do find this thing off rip, it is really, really good. But once you get farther in the games, it's just kind of fizzles out when you would probably want a Mastiff or PK anyway. Next, we have the Flatline. And I'm kind of torn whether I want to put it between A or S, but I think just due to the time being right now, especially with the Nemesis being in the crafter, I think I'm going to put it in S tier. It is a very, very, very good gun, and you can do a lot of damage, get easy kills with it, but you do need to know how to control the recoil. So I would hit the firing range this season with this thing, make sure you're up to date with the recoil pattern and how it works, and you will have a lot of success with the flatline. I promise you that. And yeah, I think S tier is a good spot for it. Next, we got the Scout, and I think I'm gonna put the Scout in B tier. It is very, very easy to use and does do some nice damage here and there, but honestly, I feel the 30-30 is better in that regard, so I think B is a fair spot for it. Like I said, very easy to use, so if you are beginning Apex, I would say try this thing out, see if you like it, but me personally, I think B tier is just a solid spot for it at the moment. Next is the Havoc. Now, me personally, I love the Havoc. I think it's a great weapon, does very, very nice damage, especially up close. If you can get this thing's recoil pattern down and learn how to use it, it's very, very, very good. And especially once you start getting like the higher round mags and stuff like that, just more ammunition makes this thing even more deadly. And just be aware, once you get the turbocharger, it does reduce its damage, so learning how to use it in both ways is very beneficial, and I think the Havoc has a great spot in A tier. Next up, we got the Hemlock. This is rejoining the ARs on the ground this season, and honestly guys, I do believe that this weapon is S tier. It does incredible damage, and it's very, very easy to use, very user friendly. And honestly guys, I don't know why I was sleeping on this thing this long, but truly it is a great weapon, and you do need to pick it up this season, especially with the hop up that it has. It just makes it a very good weapon, and you'll get a lot of high damage games, a lot of high kills. Next is the Kraber. The Kraber is awesome still. Everyone knows about the Kraber. The time that you would really want to pick this thing up is towards the end game, because you can get some great finishes with it, but just due to its ammo capacity, I think it has to stay in A tier. Otherwise, if it had more ammo, I mean, I feel like it would have to go in S tier, but for now, I think A is a fair spot for it. Next is going to be the L-Star. The L-Star, I think, belongs in A tier. It is an awesome gun for close to mid-range engagements. It doesn't really have the long range capability at the moment, just because of the simple fact of the recoil can be a lot at times. So if you learn how to use this thing in its target range, you are going to absolutely fry. Next, we have the longbow. Honestly guys, I'm kind of torn between C or B, but I think I'm gonna put it in B tier. Honestly guys, it's just not what it used to be back in previous seasons. It's still okay. You can still easily hit shots with it because it doesn't really have like any recoil attached to it, and you can kind of do like some poking and get some high damage with it, but in the long run, the other snipers in the game are just overall better. Next is going to be the Mastiff, and personally guys, I was gonna put it in A, but I am a huge fan of the Mastiff. So I think S tier is a good spot for it, especially this season with the SMGs receiving nerfs. I'm telling you guys, pick up the Mastiff, get yourself Mad Maggie, and go fry. The shotguns are hitting this season like no other. If you are a shotgun fan, now is the time. Next, we got the Mozam. I am going to put the Mozam in C tier. Obviously, this is kind of just a meme gun at this point, and we aren't really going to see it for the first half of the season because it is in the crafter, but the Mozam does have really decent range, so you can hit people for full shots from a pretty good distance away, so that is one thing redeeming it. Next, we have the Nemesis, and I'm not really going to waste too much time with this, guys. The Nemesis obviously is still insane. They have not touched it. It is an S tier weapon through and through. please use it if you get the opportunity. It is in the crafter, you can easily get it. Next is the P2020. I'm just going to slide that in F tier. It has no redeemable qualities about it at all. Maybe with the hop up it becomes like C tier, but really its only use is just to carry attachments. Trust me guys, I've used this thing for a video where I had to use 2 of them. It is not fun. It's not fun. It goes in F tier. I don't care what anyone says. P2020 F tier. Next, we do have the Peacekeeper, and guys, even better than the Mastiff, to be completely real. The Peacekeeper belongs in S tier. I'd put it in S plus if I could. This thing, especially with the disruptor rounds, guys, is absolutely ridiculous. It is stupid how good this thing is, guys. And like I said before, with the Mastiff, get you Mad Maggie, get you some disruptor rounds, and get you a PK. You are going to fry. I promise you that. Next is the Prowler. The Prowler is an automatic S tier this season, especially with it being in the care package and being full auto on top of that. If you have not used this gun yet, please go get yourself a Prowler out the care package. A lot of people know about it, so it's a little hard to get, but I'm telling you guys, the Prowler is absolutely ridiculous and you will get plenty of damage and high kills with it. Next is the R301, and honestly guys, I'm thinking B or A, but I'm gonna put it A. It's classic gun. Everyone knows about the R301 at this point. Nothing's really changed about it, and it's going to have more prominence this season, at least in the first half, because the Nemesis is still in the crafter. And R301, easily one of the most reliable guns in the game. Very easy to use, pretty much no recoil, and it's just a straight beamer. Next is the R99. And I'm going to put the R99 in A tier, simply because of the nerfs to the SMGs this season and just the ammo capacity not really being there, and also the car with no changes made to it is kind of, you know, overtaking the R99. But listen, you still need to use this thing. It still does a ton of damage, still the fastest killing gun in the game, and you just really need the clip for it, so please be aware of that when you use this gun. Next is the Rampage. And I'm going to put the Rampage in B tier. I believe this weapon is great for ranked play, but just in a pub sense, I do believe the slow fire rate is just not really helping it too much, although you can rev it up. And then I would say it probably goes to A tier then, just simply because of the damage, because this thing does melt. But overall, as it stands, I do believe that it is a B tier weapon. Some might think it's A, and I could understand that, but for now, I think B is a solid spot for it. Next is the RE45. And I'm going to put the RE45 in B tier. It is a solid weapon and has great fire rate, great control, and honestly some range on it sometimes. But overall, just due to it being a pistol and sometimes not having the most ammo, it's kind of just sitting at B tier this season, but it is still great to use, and if you can find a good mag for it, I definitely would recommend trying it out if you haven't this season. Next is the Sentinel, and I was thinking B tier, but this season I do kind of really like the Sentinel, so I'm going to put it in A tier. It feels like a very classic sniper rifle. If you have been a part of the FPS genre for a long time, you kind of know what I mean by that. It just feels like a really good gun to use, and it does great damage, and it has that real traditional sniper feel. So I think A is a solid spot for it. Let me know what you guys think about that one. Next is the Spitfire, and the Spitfire actually did catch a buff this season, but I think I'm gonna go safe here and say B. And honestly guys, I would completely understand if you put it in A, but personally for me, I don't find the love for it. It does at times perform very well, but honestly guys, I just think it belongs in B tier. I just think the other guns overshadow it, but like I said, honestly I could see someone putting it at A, especially after this season. Next we have the Triple Take. And honestly guys, I was gonna put it A, but I'm probably gonna put it B tier. I just think the 30-30 does it better overall, but honestly guys, the triple take is still really good, and it is really easy to hit shots with because of the way that the bullets work. And I don't know, again, just think the 30-30 does it better overall, but this gun is really good for getting damage and just poking teams in general. Next is the Volt, and honestly guys, I think I'm gonna put the Volt in B tier. I could see someone putting it in A, but to me personally, I just think it belongs in B. It is very easy to use and has great strafe speed, but I don't know, to me it just doesn't compare to the other SMGs. But again guys, it is a very balanced weapon and will make things easier for you, sort of like the R301. So definitely still use the Volt, guys, if you have a chance. It's still a good weapon and will still serve you well. And finally, the Wingman. The Wingman is easily an S tier weapon for me. The damage output that you can get out of it, especially if you are hitting your shots, is insane. The potential it has to down multiple enemies is awesome, but it is very skill based, and I think you do have to know what you're doing in order to use it. But I'm telling you guys, practice with it and it automatically becomes a great gun to find off the floor for you. So yeah, Wingman in S tier. And yeah guys, that's the tier list. I hope you enjoy.